Hi guys, I'm Angus Scott from Elite Personal Finance, and thanks for watching. So if you're in the unfortunate situation of having bad credit and are in need of money, watch this video carefully. The bad credit loan market can be a very dangerous place. Many people don't know what they're doing and end up getting very expensive payday loans. They end up paying very expensive interest rates, and worse, some end up getting into a vicious debt cycle and destroy their credit rating even further. But the good news, this does not have to be the case. There are many more options than payday loans, even if you do suffer with really bad credit. So in this video, we're going to discuss all of these. And that's why we decided to create this complete guide on bad credit loans. And in this video, we'll give you all the options and the steps to take if you suffer with bad credit. So please do watch this video to the end, and I'll guarantee you'll probably discover many things you didn't know. Before we move on to these things, I just want to make sure you've watched our previous video. There we discussed how people with bad credit can get approved on a legitimate personal loan. It is absolutely possible to do so. So that video should be your step number one, and if you haven't watched those videos, do that first and then take a look at what I'm going to discuss here. And make sure you watch this one. And don't worry, there's a link below to that video. And do make sure you check out this link, and again we'll have it below, where you can shop around in the marketplace that we've got up and running, showing you all the best options for you side by side. Now, unfortunately, there are cases when people, because of the bad credit, can't get approved for a personal loan, or they get approved for a very low amount that just doesn't work for them, or they don't get offered good terms at all. So, what should you do? Go and get a payday loan? No, don't give up. As you already know, we work very hard to uncover all the options available to you that are times better than payday loans and auto title loans to help you get a legit loan even if you have bad credit. So again, watch the video very carefully. There's a lot of crucial information that you do really need to know. Even if you have bad credit, you could still qualify for a secured personal loan, also known as a collateral loan, or alternatively for a cosigner loan. So for these, you obviously need what's called collateral, and that's something that you offer up to the lender as security against the money that you're borrowing. Now, typically, collateral tends to be something like your car. However, some people add their savings. Now, first things first, if you've got money in a savings account, it's obviously cheaper to use that money than get a personal loan that charges you interest. However, if you do need to hang on to your savings or need more money than what's in your account, some lenders will make secured personal loans with savings accounts or certificates of deposits as collateral. Be aware though, the terms of any loan like this usually means you won't have access to your savings account or the certificate of deposit until you go and repay that loan. So here's the important part. When you offer collateral to a lender, whether it's your car or your savings, or you add a cosigner on your loan, what you're actually doing is lowering your credit risk for a lender. And what that means in practical terms for you is lots of good things. Firstly, you're more likely to be approved for a loan. Secondly, you're more likely to be approved for a higher amount. And thirdly, you're more likely to be offered a much cheaper interest rate. And this is even if your credit score is bad. So you see, in each of these cases, lenders won't then just review your credit score, your income and debt to income ratio, but they'll also add into the mix the positive value of the collateral or the cosigner loan factors as well. So, for example, with a secured loan, the likely approved amount would be calculated based on the value of the collateral that you're adding in. But at the same time, obviously be aware that the lender isn't going to approve a loan amount that they believe would be impossible for you to pay back. It's also worth noting, and this is an important one, that with a cosigner loan, the lender is going to evaluate the creditworthiness of that person, the cosigner. So do choose that person carefully. They could make all the difference, especially if they have a better credit score. The bottom line, the great news is that these things really do work. Many people who suffer from bad credit do get approved and on significantly cheaper rates and for much higher loan amounts. But, and there is a but here, these loans come with some risk to you. On a secured loan, you risk losing your collateral if you stop paying. On a cosigner loan, you risk a friendship with that person. And in both cases, if you stop paying, you also put your credit score at risk. So, our advice? Do investigate and do use these loans, but only if you know what you're doing. The golden rule is only get one of these loans if you are sure, and I mean sure, you're going to repay it on time. Okay, so who offers the best secured loans? Well, you can usually find these being offered by most banks, credit unions, and online lenders. I'll come on to give more info about these shortly. On the banking side, Wells Fargo and US Bank are amongst the most popular banks in this business. For credit unions and online lenders, there are a lot of these. And we've made looking for the right one for you a lot easier. What I suggest you do is go visit our page, you can see it here, where we list the best secured loans. And we do keep this page regularly updated, showing you the best lenders at any given time. Now, coming up next is something that's a really interesting development. But before that, let me ask you a few questions. What's your experience with secured and cosigner loans? Which lender would you recommend to us? And how much lower APRs have you seen on secured versus non-secured loans? Please do post a comment below this video. We really do appreciate it. Credit unions and banks are a great destination for people looking for personal loans. But first, let's start with the bad news. If you have bad credit, banks are the hardest to get a personal loan from. By their very nature, banks prefer to work with people with good credit scores. And even then, those with good credit scores and high incomes can still be required to secure their loans or add a cosigner. And this just happens to be the current situation with banks. So if you want to try banks, go for it, but don't waste too much time. And I'll let you into a badly kept secret. Banks don't really have the interest to offer personal loans. They make much better money from credit cards, which are much more profitable for them. Which is why people with bad credit have little chance. So instead, let's talk about credit unions. Now here you have a real chance. Credit unions do approve people with bad credit. Okay, some quick facts about credit unions. Now, the credit unions pay more attention to factors like your income, your debt-to-income ratio, your recent financial transaction history, your workplace, and things like that, but instead of your credit score alone. And over the past 5 years, according to data from the National Credit Union Administration, federal credit union loan APRs on 3-year loans have averaged just over 9%, whilst banks charge just over 10%. And according to economists from the Credit Union National Association, state-chartered credit unions have charged an average APR on loans of all term lengths of 11.43% over the past 5 years. One final point really worth noting, the loan officers will help you. They're willing to consider factors beyond your credit score. These facts make credit unions a great destination for people with bad credit. As you can see, the unions even beat the banks in terms of APR. So as always, we've an up-to-date list of the largest unions here. And again, you'll find this link in the description below. Now, another great thing about the credit unions is that they can offer loans to surprisingly large amounts, some of them even up to $100,000. Now, credit unions cap their APR at 18%, which for anyone with bad credit is pretty favorable. The unions also have a cash advance option for people with really bad credit. They're called Payday alternative loans. These are quick cash options, typically $500 to $1,000, with an APR capped at 28%. Now, if you watched our last video about payday loans, you'll understand why we're suggesting you look at these instead. I don't think it's hard to see the benefits of 28% APR against 400% on a payday loan. You get the idea. Now, what about PALs? As of December 2019, credit unions started to offer a new type of PAL called a PAL 2. Now, what I suggest you do straight after this video is take a look at this page. And again, you'll find it in the description below. But on this page, you'll be able to see in clear detail the difference between each of them, and it'll help you decide which ones you want to look at. So what you'll find is that PAL 2s can offer up to $2,000, repayable over 12 months. And they're fast. As soon as you become a member of that credit union, you can take out the loan immediately. But, and there is an important but here, before you dive in there are a few important things about credit unions you should know. Credit unions perform what's called a hard credit pull. So when we talk to you about shopping around with personal loans, don't do the same with credit unions. When you're looking at personal loans, they only make what's called a soft inquiry on your credit score. So it doesn't matter how many applications you make, it doesn't impact your credit score. You'll note here, and we've marked where to look, but with credit unions, this is not the case. The ones we mark, like here, make a hard inquiry, which means every time you make an application, it's noted on your credit score and deducts points from it. So imagine if you went and applied to 10 or 20 credit unions at a time. What's going to happen to your credit score? Just the act of applying will seriously damage it further. So, what's the solution? Some credit unions list the requirements on their websites. So go take a look and check whether you meet them. That way you can quickly find out if you're likely to be rejected without actually going through the application process. But the best tip that we can give you is actually pick up the phone, call them. Describe your financial situation, ask about your chances to be approved. Now these loan officers that we talked about earlier, they're there to help you. They'll be honest with you and will give you a clear indication whether or not it's worth you making an application. So some other points you should also take into account when choosing which credit union you want to go for. Now firstly, credit unions require you to become a member. And of course, being a member, they charge monthly fees. So do make sure you check out what those monthly fees are. Secondly, credit unions have less branches than banks. Now, this may or may not be an issue for you, but obviously do check that out. But that's why our final tip on choosing which credit union is this. When you apply for a loan or for any other product with a credit union, check all their offers, all types of loans, credit cards, saving accounts, whatever. Because it's much better to work with one credit union and get all the financial products that you may ever need from that one place. All credit unions want to make you a regular customer, and so they incentivize you to do this. And that basically means you end up getting a better deal across the board. And before we move on with the next section, let me again ask you a few questions. Tell us about your experiences with credit unions and with banks. Have any of you been approved with low credit? And if so, what APR? Tell us, give us some of your own experiences in the comments below, and we genuinely want to hear them. And of course, we'd like to share them with other viewers of the videos as well. So, what about credit cards? Credit cards for anyone with bad credit is a big topic that we'll cover in more detail in another video. But in the meantime, let me just give you a few important points you should bear in mind. Most credit cards for bad credit are secured, and in some cases the security deposit that the issuer wants from you could be equal to the actual limit of the card, which basically means you're paying a high interest rate to borrow money that you in theory could already use for nothing. Also, importantly, most credit cards perform a hard credit inquiry in the application process, so again, on these, ignore our usual golden rule of shopping around. Be very selective and apply only if you're sure that you meet the criteria, and you'll be approved. So, if you do want to apply for a credit card, first of all, read their application criteria very carefully and see whether you meet them. Next, most of the credit cards have a pre-approval tool. Now this allows you to enter your details and see whether you actually have a chance to qualify. Then, you should call the credit card issuer and talk to them. Now, this is a long and very interesting topic because there are lots of really valuable tips that we can give you on how to talk to them and what exactly to tell them. Based on how you speak to them, we can teach you how to qualify for a credit card even where you don't meet the criteria. But you'll have to watch our next videos for that. And finally, credit cards are a great credit building tool. And if you subscribe to our channel, we'll teach you the tricks of the trade on how to build your credit score using credit cards only. But again, like I said, this is a very big topic that we'll cover in our next videos. Maybe this is the moment to lay it on the line about us. You see, we operate a really popular and successful website where we've been giving people like you a really useful tool to make smart financial decisions. We've saved countless people from getting into a real financial mess. So producing these videos, it's a new direction for us. We wanted to make it more personal, to talk directly to you guys, get a real understanding of how you feel about these products and your stories. This is your chance to talk to us, ask us questions. So please do subscribe, and in doing so, we thank you for supporting this channel. And don't forget to give us your stories in the comments below. Go on, don't be shy. So next, I want to talk about loan apps. Now these are still relatively new types of loans, but definitely gaining in popularity. This is a fast-growing market, and as always, we're keeping tabs on this because it does seem to be gaining the interest of a lot of people. So what we've done is put all the information together for you here. Now, there are many loan apps that offer fast cash, very cheap, and believe it or not, some of them even offer 0 interest rates. So where's the catch? Some of these apps have membership fees, but these fees are actually not so high. For example, with Dave, you can get access to $100 instantly at any time if you pay only $1 a month. At Vola, you can get $300 if you pay $4.99 a month. Now, the cons of these apps is that they offer relatively low amounts of cash, but the approval is very fast. Most of them don't even check your credit score, but they do check your past financial transactions. Our advice? You should definitely check these out. Most of them have become extremely popular, and our gut feeling is that these are potentially going to be the next big thing in small loans. With the increasingly digital world and our lives being taken over by apps, we're not surprised by this, as the loans market is always innovating. It's very competitive, and because of that, lenders are always looking for new ways to grow, and this could be to your advantage. And don't forget, visit this page, linked below again, where we'll always update you with the latest in the business. But whilst all that does sound great, do be careful. There are scams out there. Many predatory payday lenders noticed the growth in this niche and started to develop their own cash apps. Now, note that these apps are nothing more than your everyday regular payday loans dressed up in a nice shiny new suit. Okay, some of them may be slightly improved to try to show they are different from payday loans, but you get the drift. And overall, most of them are still very expensive and pretty much the same as your average payday loan. Now, we do not post any of those. Now, it's a time to ask you to let us know about your opinion with loan apps. Is there an app that you've something positive to say about? Have you been scammed by predatory loan apps? Do let us know. It's really important we hear about it so that we can pass these warnings on to our other viewers of the videos. Post your comment of your experience down below. Loan comparison sites ask you to enter your details one time on their platforms, and then they send this information to many lenders that are in the networks. Now these sites can really save you time and help you actually find the best loans available. Very fast and very easy. Credit comparison sites don't make money from you, which means your loan price won't be affected. That's if you get the loan through them. Instead, they get a percentage from the lender if you end up getting a loan through them. And as always, we list the best of them here. Now, you lose nothing in trying, particularly as the credit pull on most of these is a soft one. And most of these comparison sites make sure that all lenders that receive your information will not perform a hard inquiry. But you have to make sure that this is true. Let's go to SuperMoney, which is one of the largest loan comparison sites that we recommend to try. As you can see, there is clearly written, checking rates won't affect your credit score. That's what you're looking for, which is a good place to start. Alternative payday loans work great for people with bad credit. Most of them are even no credit check loans, which makes them a great place for people with really bad credit. Now, don't stress about the fact that you read the term payday loan in the name. Alternative payday loans are different from payday loans. In fact, they were created to help you avoid payday loans in the first place. They're very easy to get and give fast approval for really bad credit. But they are still expensive. Now, if we have to define them, there is something that's between a payday loan and a personal loan. Now, personal loans are usually relatively large loans, even up to $100,000 paid in installments. Their APR is capped at 35.99%. Payday loans are typically for small loan amounts, say around $500 to $1,000, paid off in one single installment. And their APR is very high, and according to the CFPB, averages around 400%. Now, it's more than obvious that the gap between these two types of loans is huge. So alternative payday loans are those that actually fill this gap. They are everything that's in between personal loans and payday loans. Typical amounts between $500 to $5,000, APRs between 35.99 to 400%. Now, there are exceptions to these values. I'm only giving you a basic overview. Alternative payday loans also have a number of benefits against payday loans. They can be set to be repaid in installments. They are times cheaper than payday loans, and they actually work with you to help you boost your credit score. So if this happens and if you pay them on time, you should expect a discount and better terms in future. Okay, we have a full guide on our site about them for those of you who are interested to learn more about them. But you should probably ask, do we actually recommend them? The answer, well, yes and no. They really can save you from payday loans, but they are still very expensive. So use them only if you don't have any other option than a payday loan. But again, try everything, guys. Many people think that they have no other options, and they're wrong. The most important thing in your financial life is your credit score. People with bad credit who have a loan should therefore immediately start working on that credit score from the day they take the loan. If you pay that loan back on time, your credit score will rise within months because most legit lenders report your activities with credit bureaus. At the same time, you should also try everything else possible to boost your score. And then, of course, if this happens, you should instantly apply for refinancing with something a lot cheaper. Now, it's not rocket science, but so many people don't think to do this, and it could save you a lot. So, what do? First, go to your current lender and update them of the changes of your credit score, and then ask if they have any better options for you. Second, again, shop around with all lenders. Try credit unions, banks, but don't forget they do a hard inquiry, so just ask, don't apply. But repeat the same process every 3 months. So very soon, your payday loan with an APR of 400% will turn into an alternative payday loan with 100% APR. Then, your alternative payday loan turns into a personal loan for bad credit at 30% APR. Your personal bad credit loan turns into a personal loan with good credit and therefore with rates as low as 5 to 10%. You get it? The bottom line, this technique can save you a lot of money on interest and help you set better repayment plans if you use it correctly. So the key is really work and boost your credit score and shop around, as we've explained. And finally, to wrap up, a shocking fact. Do you know how often credit reports contain errors? According to a study by Experian, around 30% of all credit reports contain at least one error. That is a lot. So, step number 1, check your credit score now. Review it for errors, and if you find one, report it straight away. Your credit score should boost very quickly, usually within a month. And this is the easiest and 100% legit way to boost your score fast. The really shocking part is many people know this fact, but they still don't check. The fact that 30% of reports are basically wrong means that at least 30% of people haven't performed this check. So, go do it now. It's totally free at annualcreditreport.com. Let's go back to our tip number 1. If you suffer from really bad credit, try to avoid getting a loan at all. But if this isn't an option for you, here's what we recommend. Wait. Work on your credit score, and when it improves, then get a cheap personal loan. Now, people with bad credit never complain of a lack of offers, but not good offers. So, try to decrease the loan amount. If you think you want $1,000, reconsider your budget carefully and I mean be ruthless with yourself. Do you really need that much? Maybe you could actually get away with only borrowing $500. But don't go too far that way. If you do end up borrowing too little and find yourself having to cut expenses you genuinely can't do without, or worse, it makes it harder for you to make your loan repayments, then you're risking getting yourself into an even worse situation. You then prevent yourself from refinancing with a cheaper loan and in turn just end up making your credit score even worse. And once again, then paying even higher rates. So don't get more than you need, but do get a few extra bucks over to protect you in a bad situation. And the moment that you get a bad credit loan, even if it is a payday loan, change your finances accordingly. And your only focus after that should be to repay that loan as fast as possible. The biggest no, don't get expensive loans like payday loans for things like travel, clothes, and unimportant things. Get these loans only to fill important budget gaps, and you have no other options. Okay, let me summarize a few important facts to wrap up. The lending market is constantly changing. There are always new lenders, so the competition is constantly growing. There are always many lenders just keep improving their terms for you. And the market is always innovating. Now, we will keep seeing new innovative loan products hitting the market, like, for example, those loan apps that didn't even exist until recently. So you should always keep your knowledge updated of what's out there. And even if you're currently paying off a loan, always keep reviewing new options and see if you can refinance with something cheaper. Now, this is an ongoing process that shouldn't stop. You must keep doing it. Now, we at Elite Personal Finance will help you in this process by keeping you updated all in one place, our marketplace. One of the largest free financial marketplaces for all financial products, all in one place. So seriously, use us, it's free. And now let me ask you a few questions, the best part for us. Now, we really do appreciate your feedback because we learn a lot from you, people who give us your honest feedback. In fact, in most cases, we've actually learned more from you guys than we have from so-called financial experts, gurus and so on. So my questions to you are, what was the lowest APR that you've been offered if you've got bad credit? From online lenders, credit unions or banks? Let us know. And do give us some names and values. And if you had bad credit and have been turned down for an unsecured loan or maybe offered ridiculously high APRs, were you then able to get a secured or a cosigner loan on a reasonable rate? Tell us what you think about PAL2s. Did you know about them? And after you learned, have you tried to ask your credit union? And what do you think about alternative payday loans? And finally, have we missed anything in this video? And don't be shy. Share where people should go for a bad credit loan. And let's start this conversation going. And do just use the comments below to share your thoughts with us. And don't forget, please do like the channel and subscribe to be the first to watch our next video. And incidentally, it's worth just mentioning that if you do have your own site or blog and want to embed our videos, please feel free to do so. You'll find the link to our channel below. And that way you can have our financial advice boosting your own material, if that's the sort of thing that interests you. Okay, so that's it, but we've got some really interesting stuff in our next video that you should really listen to. So please don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to tell us what you think right now in the comments below. Thanks for watching. This is Angus Scott for Elite Personal Finance, and I'll see you next time.